Imagine crossing America without cars, without trains, without paved roads, just dirt trails, wild rivers, and months of dangerous travel. So, how did people actually move across an entire continent? Today, you can cross states in hours and the entire country in a day by plane. But before cars were invented in the late 1800s, travel in America was slow, exhausting, and sometimes deadly. Distance meant isolation, roads were rough or didn't exist. Weather could stop a journey for days. Yet people still explored, traded, migrated, and built a nation, 1 mile at a time. This is the story of how Americans traveled before the age of automobile. Before engines, the horse was king. Riding horseback was the quickest way to travel on land. Messengers, traders, soldiers, and travelers depended on horses to cover long distances. But horseback travel wasn't comfortable. Riders faced sore muscles, harsh weather, dangerous terrain. Wild animals, a strong rider might travel 20 to 40 miles a day. Far slower than today's travel, but incredibly fast for the time. Horses were not just transportation, they were survival partners. When families moved west, they didn't ride, they rolled. Covered wagons became symbols of American expansion. Pulled by oxen or horses, these wagons carried food supplies, tools, clothing. Children traveling the Oregon Trail or other routes could take 4 to 6 months. Wagon trains moved slowly, maybe 10 to 15 miles per day. Travelers faced river crossings, disease, accidents, and extreme weather. Every journey was a gamble. Before roads improved, rivers were the best travel routes. Flatboats and keelboats carried people and goods downstream. Later, steamboats revolutionized river travel in the early 1800s, especially on the Mississippi River. Rivers were smoother than roads and could carry heavy cargo. But river travel had risks: floods, snags, hidden logs, and changing currents. Still, for many, rivers were the safest and fastest highways available. For short distances, most people simply walked. Farmers walked to markets, children walked to school, workers walked to jobs. Walking was reliable, but it limited how far people could travel in a day, usually no more than 10 to 20 miles. Communities stayed close because travel was hard. By the 1700s and 1800s, stagecoaches connected towns and cities. These horse-drawn coaches carried passengers, mail, and small cargo. Stagecoach travel was faster than wagons but uncomfortable. Bumpy rides, crowded seating dust, and weather exposure. Still, they were essential for communication and trade. For long-distance travel between colonies and states, ships were often easier than land routes. Coastal ships connected cities like Boston, New York, and Charleston. Ocean travel was faster than overland journeys, but came with storms, seasickness, and shipwreck risks. Snow changed everything. In winter, sleds and sleighs replaced wagons in snowy regions. Frozen rivers sometimes became temporary roads. Cold made travel dangerous, but sometimes smoother over snow-covered land. Travelers relied on maps, often inaccurate, landmarks, compasses. The stars getting lost was common. There were no road signs or GPS voices guiding the way. Travelers faced real dangers: disease, bandits, wild animals, river accidents, starvation if supplies ran low. Every long journey required planning and courage. In the 1800s, railroads began changing travel forever. Trains were faster, safer, and more reliable than horses or wagons. They marked the beginning of the end for slow, animal-powered travel. But before trains and cars, movement depended on muscle, wind, and flowing water. Before cars, travel wasn't about speed. It was about endurance. People planned journeys for months. Goodbyes were serious because return wasn't guaranteed. Yet through rivers, trails, and open land, Americans crossed mountains, forests, and plains, shaping the nation we know today. They didn't have engines, they had determination. Imagine your next trip taking months instead of hours. Would you still go? Tell me in the comments below.